Hello and welcome to Granada Reports. We are live with the latest across the northwest.
Thanks for joining us. Here's tonight's headlines.
Remembering the Manchester airport disaster, which claimed 55 lives. As the 40th anniversary approaches, survivors share their stories.
Manchester should never be forgotten about. All those people that lost their lives that day, they should never, ever be forgotten about.
The campaign for changes to paternity leave so dads can spend more time with their newborn babies.
300 years of Liverpool history has gone up in flames for the second time. We're live with the latest after a fire engulfed Walton Hall last night.
Painting a picture of what makes the community great. Young people put their art on show in Southport.
And for those of us hoping for some rain in the forecast, not the best news going forward. However, if you're hoping to get out and about over the next few days, better news ahead. I'll have all the details later.
So please do stay with us. But first tonight, the tragedy that unfolded on the runway of Manchester Airport and which changed aviation forever.
Survivors of the Manchester air disaster say the accident should never be forgotten as they prepare to mark 40 years since an Air Tours plane caught fire on the runway.
55 people died on the 22nd of August 1985 after the engine exploded just before takeoff.
For many caught up in the horrors that day, the memories have never left them.
They've been speaking to our correspondent, Mel Barham, for this special report.
It's etched in your mind. You can't forget the horror.
It's a loud bang. Looked out of the window, you can see all flames coming out of the engine.
People were falling on top of each other. I thought, I'm going to die here.
What should have been the start of happy holidays ended in the loss of 55 lives. It was August 1985 and 131 passengers and 6 crew had just boarded a flight from Manchester Airport en route to Corfu. But disaster struck before the plane even took off.
I was 13. I was going on holiday with my family and we got caught up in something that just should never have happened. We heard a really big thud and almost immediately there was a flickering inside the cabin.
People were screaming and terrible, terrible fear. And the plane wing was burning. You could see the plane on fire.
A combustor can inside the left engine, which had only just been repaired, had exploded. It should have been contained, but in a disastrous twist of fate, a bit of shrapnel broke through the protective casing, puncturing the wing fuel tank. The pilot, following procedure, turned off the runway, but in doing so caught a crosswind, which then blew the fire over and under the back of the plane and into the cabin.
The smoke came into my face, a thick black smoke. I took a gulp, felt woozy, 2 or 3 gulps of that and you would be helpless, unconscious.
People were falling on top of each other, hysterical, screaming, crying, fighting to find the families, and I was suffocating. I'd inhaled twice. There's no way I could have inhaled a third. I couldn't take my breath a third time because there's no way I would have got out of that plane. I was dying.
I remember Mum saying, "Get up." She forced us up. My God, she assessed the situation pretty quickly. She was in no doubt she wasn't being on that aircraft, and she was in no doubt that her 2 sons were not going to be on that aircraft either.
We were there within 2 minutes of the aircraft turning off and we foam on, started tackling the fire.
Roger Shepherd was the first firefighter on the scene.
It was horrific inside. It's something that's never left me. There was a numbness about it. You'd gone out, you'd done your job, and then when I got home I had 2 lads, 2 young boys. When I got in and saw them, that's when I did my crying. I just burst into tears.
25-year-old David Bennison was sitting at the very back of the plane.
When his brother rang and said Dave was on the plane, even at that moment, I sort of knew he was dead, really. I can honestly say it was probably the worst moment of my life, and it was like being torn in two.
In a matter of just seconds, flight KT328 had turned into an horrific inferno.
Within hours, the then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was on the scene along with the world's media. Rob McLaughlin was one of the first reporters to get there.
The head of Greater Manchester Fire Services press office, Doug Galvin, came alongside, and I said to him, "How bad is it?" And Doug said to me, "Dozens have probably died."
In total, 55 people lost their lives, including 2 cabin crew. For the survivors, minds have been as scarred as bodies.
To see people fighting for their life, it's just an awful thing to see. People think that, you know, because you look okay and you can function and laugh and joke about things, that you're okay, but you're not. It's all in your mind, and I've not slept one full night in 40 years.
40 years on, those scars are still there.
Every day, for 40 years, I've thought about it. There isn't a day goes past that I don't think about them and say I'm sorry that I couldn't help them, because I would have done anything I could to get people out of that plane. It was just so fast.
I feel extremely lucky to be a survivor when so many people died on the day. But at the same time, there is a certain amount of guilt attached to that.
Why did I survive and others didn't? At 13, it's a pretty tough question to get your head around.
Manchester should never be forgotten about. All those people that lost their lives that day should never have happened.
Dave's death will be with me till I die. That loss is still there. That chair will always be empty.
It was a disaster that claimed so many lives and changed forever those who were left behind. Mel Barham, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, our thanks to all those who bravely opened up to Mel about their experiences on that day.
Well, the disaster led to significant safety improvements in the aviation industry, particularly around the design and construction of passenger aircraft. Tomorrow, we'll take a closer look at those changes and see how it's made flying safer for all of us.
And on Friday, we'll bring you coverage of the annual memorial service in the airport's Garden of Remembrance.
On to more news now, and a mother who died after she was struck by a falling branch in Blackburn has been described as the most beautiful woman in the world. 32-year-old Madia Kauser was walking with her family in Witton Park when she was hit. Her husband, Wasim Khan, said he was completely lost without her and that she would bring smiles whenever she entered the room.
An investigation has concluded that a police helicopter crew seen flying low while pursuing a suspect near St Helens acted appropriately. Social media footage showed the chopper chasing a motorcyclist who police said had been driving in a dangerous and reckless manner. A review of the incident by police found that the correct processes were followed. The Civil Aviation Authority said it would review the findings.
A union is asking more than 2,000 bus workers in Greater Manchester if they're prepared to go on strike after a pay deal was rejected. The staff are all part of the B network, employed by firms including Stagecoach and First Buses. Many of them are drivers. Their union, Unite, has called on the companies to improve pay offers. Well, next to the 300-year-old manor house, which appears to have been gutted by fire.
Yeah, Walton Hall in Liverpool has long been a landmark in the south of the city, not least because it's been sitting empty for decades and was the site of an earlier fire back in 2019.
Yeah, it's a sad chapter for the building, which was built in the early 1700s by renowned architect Robert Adam. In fact, it was given listed status because of its links to him, and it was seen as the finest example of his work in the whole of the north of England.
Well, after firefighters battled through the night to contain the blaze, Andy Bonner joins us from the scene. Andy, bring us up to date.
Yeah, well, the remains of Walton Hall lie behind me, behind those trees, and as you can see, firefighters tonight are still here damping down, making sure there's no chance of the blaze reigniting. We know there is a risk of collapse internally. Part of a great section of the roof went last night during the fire. Firefighters thankfully managed to stop it spreading to a nearby building, but at its height there were 45 officers here fighting the flames in what they told me today it was a particularly difficult and dangerous incident.
We had fire breaking through the windows, the roof had collapsed, and flames up to 30 feet were seen to be coming from the top of the building, so quite a significant fire for us. So we then escalated our resources, brought more fire engines in and an aerial firefighting appliance. So we had 10 fire engines at the height of the incident.
Well, tonight we're told that the building, the hall, is totally unstable. The inside has been completely destroyed. That is particularly sad when you look at what it used to look like inside the hall. The fire service asking parents to prevent their children from playing anywhere near the site because of the dangers involved. The community has grown up here around this building, built in 1704. Back in the 1970s, the Walton Society was set up to save the building. They succeeded, at least for some time, with birthday parties, weddings taking place at the hall. But for the last 20 years or so, it has lain derelict. We understand more recently it has been up for sale again. Tonight, the Society told us that it has been a very sad day for Walton Village.
In a way, we expected this. We think it's been something that's been building up to for a long time. There has been vandalism over the years and fires. So, in a way, I'm quite surprised this hasn't happened before now, but that doesn't stop us being still very sad and disappointed.
Well, I've tried to get in touch today with the current owners of Walton Hall, but to no avail. There is a joint investigation underway now from Merseyside Police, Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service and Liverpool City Council cooperating with that as well. At the moment they say there are no tangible results. They are refusing to say even whether or not this was arson. They are saying they're keeping an open mind, but they say that any investigation will be a thorough one.
All right, Andy in Liverpool, thank you.
Well, next tonight, and fathers from the northwest are urging the government to provide better paternity leave amid warnings that the current offer is one of the worst in Europe.
Yes, Scott Ramage from Walton is one of hundreds who've backed the Dad Shift campaign. His baby had only just left intensive care when he was forced to go back to work. A system he says is broken and brutal.
Well, the government is currently carrying out a review of parental leave and pay and wants to hear from as many people as possible about their experience before next Monday. Our political correspondent, Leisha Manali, has this report.
Red, blue.
Scott Ramage says becoming a dad was a dream come true, but his son's first few weeks were a bit of a nightmare, made worse by how little time they had together before Scott had to return to work.
So Tyler was born 2 weeks early by emergency C-section. Tyler ended up with neutropenic sepsis and ended up in the neonatal unit for the first 10 days of his life. So my paternity leave was spent with us being stuck at the Royal Walton Hospital, trying to split myself between being with Tyler in the neonatal unit and trying to support Louise as much as I could do.
I feel like we had like a countdown going because we knew that we only had a window of time before Scott was going back to work. I remember being concerned about how I would pick him up on my own, how I would change him, if I was even going to be able to walk down the stairs because I was really, really unwell.
When baby brother Dylan arrived, Scott used holiday to boost his paternity leave and support his wife. But both feel there's a huge mismatch between what new families need and what they get.
So the financial constraint of having a baby is hard enough, but then to feel the pressure of going back to work because you're not on full wages. And there's only so many plates you can spin, and once one drops, it's like a domino effect. Everything seems to fall apart around you at the same time.
Eligible fathers in the UK are offered 2 weeks of statutory paternity leave. They're paid £187 a week, or 90% of their average earnings, whichever one is lower, and self-employed dads don't qualify at all, leaving many parents with just a few days together before mum is on her own.
It really impacted my postpartum journey, so I ended up with PTSD, postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. Having more time with my husband being present and allowed to not be concerned about money and time, I do think that would have greatly impacted that.
But the political appetite for change is growing. The Dad Shift campaign is calling for at least 6 weeks off for the non-birthing parent at 90% of their pay, saying it will have huge benefits for wider society too.
So the system hasn't really changed for about 20 years. It's far past the point at which it was defensible. You know, we are bottom of the league. Literally anywhere you look is better than here. So we think there's a really strong case for action. The other piece of this, though, is about economic growth. That by improving the UK's paternity leave system, you can drive £2.6 billion of growth in the wider UK economy. And at a time when the country really needs it, this is a way to invest in families, just as we invest in rail, roads, buildings.
The government says it wants to support working people and is carrying out a review of all parental leave to find out how best to do that. The MP for Ellesmere Port is the government minister tasked with overseeing any changes, and he wants to hear from as many people as possible before the call for evidence ends on Monday.
We've got to have that holistic view about, is this giving children the best start in life? Is it encouraging people to remain economically active? And is it ensuring that all parents are able to participate in their children's lives?
Bluntly, though, is there actually any money to effect meaningful change?
And clearly there will be a limit on what we can provide, but look, I think we all acknowledge the current system has limitations. We want to push against those, but clearly we've got to take account of the overall economic picture when we make those final decisions. But, that's no reason for us not to be ambitious.
That's certainly what Tyler's mum and dad are keen to see. Though any change would come too late for them, they'll carry on the fight for other families.
Yeah, how cute is Tyler? Let's cross to Alicia Manali, who's over in Westminster for us. So, Alicia, this is a matter that's going to affect many of our viewers. What is the timescale for all of this?
Well, in the short term, the government's call for evidence runs until midnight on Monday. So if anyone at home has a view on the parental leave system, you'll be invited to share your story and any suggestions. So if you head to our website, that's itv.com/Granada, you can find a link and more information about how you can take part. After that, MPs will get back here to Westminster and begin the task of going through all those responses, trying to work out if the system could work better. And I've been told that nothing is off the table, that they're even considering something like the Nordic model, and that gives the non-birthing parent up to 6 months of leave. Realistically, though, any ambitions are going to be pretty limited by the economic situation, and balancing the rights of employers and employees is always a political challenge. So this is just the start of the journey, and we don't expect the end anytime soon. In fact, we're warned not to expect any proposals until at least next year. It does seem pretty universally known, though, that some kind of change is required. The unknown is what that change could look like.
Alicia in Westminster, thank you.
Well, up and down the country, teenagers and their parents are waiting anxiously for GCSE results due out tomorrow morning. So with details of a special live results programme, here's the ITV News Rundown team.
Hey, it's George.
And Cree from The Rundown. The news service for teens are brought to you by ITV News.
Join us tomorrow morning for a live results programme where we'll bring you the headlines of the day, as well as being joined by special guests who will answer your questions and help you navigate through what's next.
We'll be live across the ITV News and Rundown YouTube channels and TikTok accounts, as well as the ITV News website. Join us tomorrow from 8:50.
We'll see you there.
See you there.
Yes, the very best of luck to all those awaiting their GCSE results. On to sport now, and more good news for Morecambe fans. Hi, Chris.
Hi, yeah, the outlook is rapidly improving for the club, but the government remains cautious. Just days ago, Morecambe were facing extinction. Now they can look forward to match days again after the National League lifted their embargo. The club's financial problems left them suspended from the National League, and they had to postpone their first 3 fixtures. But now their takeover is complete. The club can begin to sign players in time for Saturday's match against Altrincham. The government say the incoming independent football regulator will help clubs like Morecambe to survive in the future.
There are obviously a significant number of things that the new owners are going to have to do. They obviously have to get a team together to fulfil the fixtures, not just this weekend, but going forwards. There's significant debts that they're going to have to deal with. We'll obviously be keeping a very close eye on that and working very closely with the fans to make sure that the club really is out of the woods and that they can continue to bring great joy to people in Morecambe for a very long time to come.
Well, staying with football, and Liverpool target Alexander Isak has spoken for the first time about his push for a transfer. He says promises have been broken by his current club, Newcastle, and that the relationship can't continue. It's nearly 3 weeks since Liverpool's £110 million bid for the Swedish striker was rejected. Newcastle say they never promised he could leave this summer. Isak spoke on social media after being named in the Premier League Team of the Season at the Professional Footballers Association Awards last night, an event where Liverpool's departing star Olivia Smith won the Women's Young Player of the Year award, while Mo Salah won the Men's Player of the Year award for a record 3rd time. He says his motivation to win more trophies is as strong as ever.
Honestly, I think I found always the way to feel hungry and just need more. This season, like, we have a new players, you also need to give them your experience and try to help them also to grow. That's part of playing football or being a footballer. So yeah, it's always the hunger that makes me really want more.
Yeah, well done to Mo. Now across the Mersey from Liverpool, Tranmere Rovers were knocked out of the League Cup on penalties last night. This game was supposed to be last week, you'll remember, but was postponed just minutes before kick-off because of a power outage. Sadly, the lights have gone out on Tranmere's Cup campaign too. After a 1-1 draw with Burton Albion, they lost 5-4 on penalties. Bolton Wanderers can climb into League One's top 10 if they beat Reading tonight. Last night in League One, Wigan, Blackpool and Stockport all lost. But League Two leaders Crewe won 4-1 at Fleetwood. Barrow lost, but Oldham Athletic held Bristol Rovers to a goalless draw, while Salford made it 3 straight wins, beating Newport County 1-0. In cricket, Lancashire have lost their one-day cup match this afternoon. After they set a target of 321 runs to win, Durham reached it with 9 balls to spare and 4 wickets in hand. The Rugby Football League say Salford's cancelled Super League game last week will go down as a 48-0 defeat for the Red Devils. Their match against Wakefield was called off because of welfare concerns, as Salford only had 2 players with recent Super League experience. Salford say their game against Lee Leopards on Friday will go ahead, though. Yeah, it's been a really tough season for Salford fans. Hopefully some good news to come over the coming weeks.
Yeah, hopefully they can get it sorted out. Thanks very much, Chris. And finally tonight, we're celebrating the talents of 400 young artists from around the region.
We certainly are. Their works have gone on display as part of a spectacular outdoor exhibition that has transformed one corner of Southport into an open-air gallery.
Each work of art answers the question, what's good about Southport? And the results are fantastic, as our Merseyside correspondent Anne O'Connor found out.
The outdoor art gallery is right underneath the rides at the resort's Adventure Coast theme park. 400 pieces submitted by children across the northwest, hoping theirs will be one of 3 chosen to get a giant print mounted and displayed in Southport.
Well done. Thank you.
Merseyside boxer Tony Bellew, who lives nearby, came to congratulate finalists in a place that holds happy memories.
This was the very first fairground I ever came to without my parents. Me and my friends used to jump on the train into Liverpool City Centre and then jump on it to here. Southport's an amazing and beautiful place, and it's got so many good things going for it, and I wanted to get involved in this and help raise awareness. It's beautiful, it's really amazing. It shows, you've got fair rides and mountains, and I think that's some kind of multicoloured Christmas tree by Malik. It's beautiful and it's amazing. All the kids, it gives them something to do.
Evie Wilson, who's 12 and goes to Stanley High School, is hoping to be one of the winners.
Really happy. I wasn't expecting it. Me and my mates always go into Southport, and I was like, what do we love? And we like going on the carousel. So I painted the carousel.
And you've done it really well. Are you proud?
Yeah.
Saul Jones is also 12 and lives in Manchester, but like many, remembers days out at the Southport seaside.
My picture is of a pier and the beach. I drew it because on the first time me and my family came to Southport, we just spent the entire day on the beach.
And it's a really happy memory.
Yeah.
Part of the aim of the competition has been to boost the mood of the resort after the sadness of the deaths of 3 children at their dance class last year. Twinned with the cost of living crisis, Southport has had another challenging summer.
We've got to be hopeful and understand what the situation is in the country and with what happened particularly in Southport. But, we're all very hopeful. We're continually improving things, making things better. And, the sun's out now. You could be anywhere in the world, and why not be in Southport?
Why not? Among the artworks and the talents of young hopefuls. Anne O'Connor, ITV News.
That looks fab, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
why not be in Southport? It's a lovely town, isn't
Exactly.
it? Here's Joe with the weather.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. High pressure dominates our weather for the rest of this week, so there's no real rain in the forecast at all. Dry conditions, a fresher feel until the weekend when temperatures will be moving upwards once more. Bright or sunny spells to look forward to in coming days and a fresher feel by night. But as we can see, no real frontal activity to speak of, and high pressure continues to dominate from the north. As we head through the end of the week and into the weekend, we'll begin to see a bit of a boost in temperatures as well, Sunday into Monday. That's then, and this is now, and this evening and overnight it's dry for the northwest of England and the Isle of Man. A gentle breeze easing down a touch before dawn, so maybe a few mist patches here and there, but generally clear conditions and a fresh feel tonight. Temperatures down to around 7 or 8 Celsius away from our towns. On to tomorrow. The sun is up at 5:59 and sets at 8:28 tomorrow evening. It's likely to be a fine start to the day, if a little cool. Maybe just need a jacket first thing in the morning. Cloud will bubble up here and there through the course of the day, but it stays fine and dry with decent sunny spells. A light breeze tomorrow, and temperatures again around the region of 19 or 20 Celsius, so feeling quite pleasant. Now looking ahead, a couple of cloudy days ahead, but high pressure ostensibly in charge, so it's generally dry, but perhaps a few spots of rain in the air at times. We will notice temperatures perking up through the weekend and into next week, so by Sunday, Monday, potentially 23 or 24 Celsius. The dry theme continues. Not great news, of course, for farmers and many other industries. No real rain in the forecast, save for the odd spot of rain perhaps. And that's it for now. See you again soon.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
That is it for tonight's programme, but don't forget about that special live results programme tomorrow on TikTok and YouTube for everyone getting their GCSE results tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be lots of information, lots of advice. The very best luck to everybody who are waiting those GCSE results. I remember the day when I got my GCSE results, I was very nervous.
You still remember?
I do, like it was yesterday. I beg your pardon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.